Good evening, everybody. Welcome to BS session 81. A wise man once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.
The Ballistically Speaking podcast. I got to re-record that. It's just I can envision my own face when I say that, like as some arrogant fuck. The Ballistically Speaking podcast.
I know a guy who should record it. My brother.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he's got a good voice, actually.
He does
The
have
radio
the radio
voice.
voice.
Yeah. Yes, folks, it's that easy. How are you guys tonight?
Oh, not bad.
That's
Another
good.
week's over.
Friday has arrived, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, no
Just
doubt.
getting over windburn.
Oh, is that right? Windy like crazy out there?
This whole week plus this past weekend,
mhm.
it hasn't stopped.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't too bad here, but just like these last several days, just cold and miserable, and we had snow. I don't know if you guys got any snow
Yeah, Edmonton got
recently,
snow.
but
yeah,
yeah, I suppose. Hey, how much snow did you get?
Like a dusting.
Oh, is that right?
good.
Yeah.
Within the day.
Oh, that's not so bad then.
yeah.
Not so
Edmonton,
bad.
it was some wet snow, so it put some moisture down, but it quickly
Yeah.
went away pretty much the next day. But
Yeah.
there was some good moisture behind it, though. So
Well, that's one thing, like most people complain about the kind of the shitty spring conditions. Everything's wet and cold and muddy, and their car that they just washed 2 weeks ago because they thought the weather was going to be great is now dirty. So life is really rough. But
terrible.
for guys that actually, yeah. But for guys that actually get out, and some of us who are have a farm background, we kind of love to see it. Especially given the last couple of years, the moisture that we've had on the prairies really sucked badly, and any even more snow than we've gotten lately is welcome right now. So I don't mind it. Yeah, it is kind of sucky, but
yeah, that's the way it goes.
hotter days will come.
Need the moisture, so
The same guys are saying, "Oh, it's too dry, and then, "Oh, it's too wet, I can't plow." It's the
mhm.
same people.
Just relax, dude. It is like the 3rd of May. You've
Mhm.
got another couple of weeks before you absolutely have to be out there. At least probably 3 weeks anyway. But when I was flying home the other day, north of Saskatoon, there I saw some guys out in the field. I saw at least 2 air seeders out there going.
Mhm.
A lot of other guys just kind of disking around the edges and stuff like that. But that's when you're putting in crop this early. She's a gamble for sure.
Mhm. Yeah,
I've seen
well,
that go both ways.
It's because you have too many acres. That's why you're starting so early. You might finish by August.
You find too many.
mhm.
More than 16,000.
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
There's some
Can't
people.
imagine.
They got the little
Yeah.
NASCAR numbers on the combines. I hate that.
Killing 8? Jeez Louise. Anyway, how should we get at it? Tonight we're gonna talk about some current Canadian news. There's a little bit going on out there. I just received the CCFR weekly newsletter, but I haven't stuck my face in it to see what they had to say. And the SSFRC or no CSAAA, I can't remember who else puts a newsletter out. Is CSAAA? Is that the one? Puts out a
CS
weekly?
CSSA, and then there's CSAAA.
Right. Looking in my emails.
Very different.
CSAAA is the industry one.
CSSA News. There it is.
Oh,
There
Jens
we
is
go.
chiming in there.
CSSR.
I'm not sure what he. Yeah.
Is he going CSSA or USSR?
Or
Yes.
is he
Yeah.
just
I'm
trying
not
to type CCR and he just missed the keyboard?
exactly. Clearance Clearwater Retrieval Newsletter. Also,
sure
a
they
good newsletter.
All right, let's act for a moment like we're actually responsible adults, giving appreciation to the folks into the airwaves every week. We're going to start out with, as always, EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta, building Canada's finest precision rifles. Find Shane and Steve on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
Brought to you by Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
And also callsign 66, Canada's best rifle training. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course now at callsign66.ca and follow them on Instagram at callsign66 and on Facebook at C/S66.
On Instagram, I just want to clear that up. It is callsign66, CALSIGNSIXSIX. That's on Instagram. You just want to keep everybody on their toes, I guess. Every different platform's got a little bit different, call sign.
Mm-hmm.
We're here tonight again with Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or a Bergera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up on Instagram, Flakebook, and on their website at odellengineeringltd.com.
That Flakebook it's a new one.
It is, yes, yeah.
We're also brought to you by Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Check out all the fine competition rifle scopes, red dots, binoculars at apexoptics.co, as per Mike's t-shirt. Be sure to check out their pre-sale special for the new Apex Optics binoculars and red dots. They got the Summit 8x42s for your bird watching / tourist experience. The Summit 15x56 for more spotting. Summit Pro 2 15x56 with TR2 reticle. Summit
for
82,
precision spotting.
Yes, 15x56 binos with double extra low dispersion lenses. Not single, but a double.
That's
Just
right.
like my Ryan Coke, a double. An
TM.
Atom Red Dot 1x28 equipped with smart light auto brightness technology, and the Fusion Red Dot 1x30 with variable dot size multi-reticle system. Stay
It's a
tuned.
mouthful, hey, Derek.
It is. I need a break.
So, do any of us know? And I failed to look it up. How long they're having that pre-sale for all of these items? Either of you aware of that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
All I
us
know
did
is
any homework.
probably get on it in sooner rather than later.
I would
be
say
my
so.
opinion on that.
They will sell out for sure.
Mhm.
Agreed. Also, we'll talk about a little bit about it during the show, but the Apex match that's going on, what date is that and location?
That's in July, tail end Stampede weekend.
So that'll be the July 13th, 14th weekend. Let me pull it up here on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, July 13th, 14th weekend. And that will be, it'll be west of Calgary. So obviously the location will be disclosed to obviously those that are registered for the match.
Right.
But it'll be close then, and it'll be quite the event. There'll be, I know there'll be like a big meal, and there'll be entertainment on the Saturday night. So not only will it be a great shooting experience, but also a great social experience.
Yes,
well.
clowns and truck monkeys.
And truck guns.
And if you're lucky, somebody's spinning up balloon animals. All I know is that I'm really kind of pissed off because that is right in the middle of a shift for me up north. So,
Jens is
what?
volunteering.
Jens volunteered to
Jeez.
be a male adult entertainer. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Jens, for your contribution.
Yeah.
You know, a girl's got to make some money somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good on you, Jens. How you doing, Carrie?
Carrie.
I believe I will go.
Okay, good.
Before we get lost too far, we're also
Right.
brought to you by Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
All right, and the fine folks at the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, help us out every week. They're the home of the Sterling Arms R18. They also have an indoor range, training courses, a new 6-lane axe throwing bay, and the One Shot One Spill Cafe. Go ahead and check them out. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and on their website at theshootingedge.com.
We're also brought to you by March Scopes Canada. The Dion optical design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca.
Look at this. Yukai Kazi thinks he's Jerry Michalak.
Hey,
is he going to run into copywriting issues, I wonder? Hey-oh! Yuke, sorry. You know what? I meant to message Yuke after last week's show, last episode. He was talking about, I can't remember what he was saying about amputation or some damn thing. He's having surgery on his arm. I'm going to try to remember to do that after this show. I hope he's doing all right. Good to see you here anyways, Yuke.
We always appreciate the little bit of zaniness that Yuke brings.
Well, you know what? Yuke kind of brings his own brand of zaniness or harassment, however you want to put that, to pretty much every show. So keeps us on our toes. All right, fellas, what's going on? So we had a bit of a slip. I guess I don't know I don't want to call it a no-show. I guess a wrench got thrown into some spokes with the folks that we were supposed to have on tonight. I don't know details. Doesn't matter. But anyways, we had something planned and that kind of fell through. So we're just shifting gears a little bit and we'll see what we can come up with. There's been some stuff in Canadian firearms news a little bit. It's been kind of a relatively tame week. I know Saskatchewan announced. Well, they put forward a motion to Ottawa, saying essentially, "Butt the hell out. We want to take care of our own firearms legislation." Now, I'm not sure if that's even possible. It's great grandstanding. At the very least, I suppose, which is kind of a good thing. You know what? There's several things on Instagram. Say Facebook, I don't look at a whole lot, but I know that CCFR puts out clips and stuff like this on Instagram, and you read the comments and that, and of course there's there's no shortage of poopy pants out there. Well, fuck, this isn't going to do a goddamn thing, and blah, blah, blah. There's all sorts, right? But I think, and I get it that people are frustrated. Firearms owners are frustrated with how things are going. It seems like there's a slow progression through this whole thing. And, you know, you look around in the society we live in, and everybody wants instant gratification. And I don't think firearms owners are any different in that respect. They don't see things moving quickly, so immediately they, start stomping and holding their breath and things like that. Okay, you know what? Saskatchewan or Scott Moe's announcement or proclamation, movement, whatever. It It may be grandstanding. It may be something that is just not at all possible within the country. Who knows? But the way I look at it is, honestly, I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a shot over the bow of the federal government, I think. Like, hey, you sons of bitches, you're just not going to run roughshod over us anytime you like. We're paying attention here. And if there's enough, support, enough fortitude for this, we're going to run our own stuff much more than we've tried to or been permitted to in the past. That's the way I look at it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit the optimist type guy. In some respects, I've almost completely given up on humanity as a whole. But
yeah, I see it much. I see it much the same. I think it's obviously, I think it's a profound statement. Unfortunately,
it sure is.
It's not gonna transpire to anything, but it's a strongly delivered message. And I also think the fact that it was a unanimous vote, so everybody attending that day voted in favor of it. So that was including across both party lines, NDP and the Saskatchewan Party and all the other independents, whatever, in there as well.
Yes, to me, that is something wildly significant to acknowledge, that it had a 100% support. Where else do you find that? On what other topic?
Very rarely.
Statistical impossibility.
I wonder how many NDP weren't in attendance that day.
Yes, I did. I read the article, and there's Saskatchewan has 61 MLAs, and only 40 were present that day.
Well,
so
yeah,
2/3 showed up, but the ones that showed up included members of both the political right and the political left side of the spectrum.
Yes,
voted unanimously for it, and I think that's huge because that shows that, especially more so in the western provinces, that even the left recognizes that this is something that's not worth drawing the line in the sand for, and this is something that is not worth the division. In this case, the left would rather focus on other things.
Well, not only the division, it's and you're right, because it is a pretty big wedge issue. How loud is this? While we're talking here, I'm actually charging cases. I don't want to be up till 1:00 tomorrow morning.
That's fair.
Is it loud or no?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm fair. I actually have some brass drying in the oven right now. So if you're not multitasking.
Oh my God, don't put that on the internet, because somebody's going to tell you that that's not the way to go. You're going to over anneal it, and they'll melt into a demon or something.
It's set to 170 convection bake.
Well, that's way too high. Way too high. Don't you know anything about metallurgy?
Yeah, he's annealing the whole case, not just the end of it.
Exactly.
Yes,
more has to be better.
Yes.
I call it a low temperature normalizing cycle.
There you go.
Not tempering to anneal. Actually, I call it a advanced water elimination methodology.
Ooh, that's good. That is good. You should trademark that.
I hope so.
Or at least come up with a better acronym than that.
Probably. That'd be not bad.
Oh, man. So what do you guys know about federal firearm legislation, like the Firearms Act? Yes, it is a federal act that applies across the country. Now, I kind of, not dismissing you guys, I don't know, honestly, what you guys know about law and that. Kris is very good with this stuff.
Mhm.
I kind of wish he was here to get his input. Um, in spite of the act being federal, is there in reality any way that we could administer the act or something similar if we came up with a provincial act that would get around that federal act? Is it even a possibility?
You'd
Do you
have to
know?
you'd have to delete the federal one and say we're handing this off to the provinces. But
Right.
alcohol's done that way already. Tobacco's already done that way. So it really
Yeah.
wouldn't be that much paperwork. It's the act of actually doing it that's the issue.
Yeah.
Well,
and
the
and
hell
the
of it
ball's in the
is,
federal government's court to move the
yeah,
ball.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
biggest issue.
yeah.
And
is-
that's there in case of bad politics, break glass, blame gun owners for anything. So they're not going to give that up.
That's a thing. That's a fucking hammer, and it has
Mhm.
been for 30, possibly even longer years. That it is a shiny, uh, shiny, happy
Distract.
puppy dog that people look at in an election year and go, "Oh, that sounds good." Yeah, fuck.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, so alcohol and tobacco, nobody gives a shit about that anymore, other than drinkers and smokers, I suppose. And even then, they go, "No, whatever. I'll just pay it anyway."
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter whether it's federal or provincial. The firearms thing, I don't think any federal government's going to ever let go of that one, because um, it is a bloody monster in terms of political clout.
And unfortunately, if it was handed off to the provinces, it could become a double-edged sword. Because then all of a sudden, a provincial government could take it in the way of in favor of gun control.
So that was, yeah,
that's
that
the other problem is then you turn into essentially like the United States, where you have states like California and then
right.
states like Alabama, where you have a whole gambit spectrum of
Yeah.
firearms laws within the same country. Now,
Well,
if you live in a state that agrees with your ideological beliefs, that's great. But if you don't,
right.
or it changes, all of a sudden you're in the same boat
Yeah, yeah.
that a beaver chewed a hole in, and now you're slowly sinking, contemplating your life choices.
That damn Canadian beaver. I'd like to think we're kind of closer on the spectrum to Alabama than we are on to California.
Mm.
God help me, I hope we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And when what was it, year and a half ago, when the Sask Party came out with that whatever announcement, declaration, whatever, um, they were gonna, how did that go? Um, they wanted to manage their own firearms laws anyway, or whatever. Weren't going to participate in the buyback. What was that exactly? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember the details of Saskatchewan. I know it's slightly varied from Alberta, but I know
It is.
Alberta basically stated we're not allocating provincial resources to the gun for confiscation program unless like it's actually warranted. Like if you committed a crime with a now prohibited firearm, then you're going to jail. But if you're minding your own business, we're not sending provincial resources in to do Trudeau's bidding. We'd rather enforce actual laws.
Problem is, who makes that call? Yeah.
But if you don't have a license or anything and you get caught with a prohib, you're out on Tuesday.
Now, isn't that something? Absolutely. Like, this country right now is so fucked up with our legal system the way it is, and bail reform, or whatever the hell they called it.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not bail reform in an unconventional manner, I suppose. But like the three of us, if we were caught as legal firearms owners, We go down and rob the local convenience store or something like that. Yeah, we're more than likely to be back out Monday afternoon, if not sooner. Or sorry, I'm thinking the opposite. We would be, yeah, like is it up to 10 years for an offense as a legal firearms owner? However, the other guy that doesn't give a shit about firearms laws goes buys a black market pistol and goes and robs a convenience store. He's out on Monday afternoon. Us, however, bending over backwards to follow the laws, we're done. Like property confiscation and incarceration for a hell of a long time. Meanwhile, Buddy's out, trying to find his next fucking pistol to go do the same goddamn thing. I don't know.
I can tell you're a little bit wound up.
Yeah. No, that rarely happens to me.
But how would you control what gets brought into the country if it's all provincial? Because border control's technically federal.
Yeah.
But okay, so Alberta lets you have a bunch of cool stuff, and then Quebec doesn't. So what's to stop you from driving to Alberta and moving it?
And also another thing, like I don't know, for example, like PEI, it's gonna have to go through another province to get there.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, that could very easily become problematic. So
Jonathan Bergen has an excellent point here. He says, he's typed into the chat, I think I'm going to quit my job, fly to Mexico, and then sneak across the border so I can live all expenses paid. Yeah, that's probably one of the best plans I've heard in a long time. There's thinking outside the box.
We can live off of Yukikazi's taxes. Thank you for your service, Yukikazi.
Keep going to work, Yuke.
Yeah, we'll need those taxes here soon.
Holy Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing. If supposedly provincially we have a lot of leash to look after our own affairs, although none of the provinces in Canada have ever embraced that. I still don't believe it. I've been told that by several people that are much smarter than I am, but there's certainly no evidence of that happening in Canada. But Mike, you bring up a good point where who's gonna look after the border? So in my mind, I get thinking about, okay, firearms legislation. You get rid of or amend the federal act. The provinces develop their own. Then the next thing would be the next bone of contention in this country. Similar to that, I suppose, would be the RCMP, because they are federal. And it just, they're all across Canada, whether we want them or not. Ontario being a little bit of an exception, I suppose. That's kind of an interesting setup. They have the OPP. There are also RCMP in Ontario as well, are there not?
I think it's all OPP.
Is it all?
Or city. I think it's all OPP.
Okay. Okay. So, and it's funny when the few times that Alberta's, kind of mused about that, having their own provincial police. Oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that. First of all, you can't get rid of the RCMP, and just think about the difficulty and cost that you would incur with a provincial police force.
Yeah, because we're not paying to fly 35 guys to Yellowknife every year. We're only paying to go to Calgary.
Right. Right. Yeah. You know what? If some of that transfer payment shit didn't go so far east, you could easily afford a provincial police force, I think. But like that's going to happen ever.
Yeah.
So there's a provincial police force, and then provincial border control. But the hell of it is the closer we move to all of that stuff, if you start chipping away at the federal grip around the provincial neck, it should theoretically cascade, and that is the last thing I think the federal government wants to see happen.
Yeah, definitely that is the thing. Optimally, I like the idea of more localized government. So again, for the most part, me and the people directly around me, we can normally get along and have at least a somewhat common perspective on how to move forward. But the big issue with federally is we're a big country. Ideas change across the country.
So that's been a chief gripe of mine for God knows how many years. Like all the legislation that comes out of Ottawa is kind of centered around Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver, right? What's good for the city is good for the entire country. Go fuck yourself. Like you look at the differences between I was going to say Eastern Canada, but even Central Canada, Center East versus Western Canada. And then we've got a chunk of land right on the west side of the country that is different yet. Man, you cannot. It's you. How's that saying go? You can't please everybody, and that is very true.
Yeah.
But there's so many different demographics in this, and honestly, traditions, lifestyles, whatever across this country, it is huge. Not necessarily in terms of population size, but different areas have different ways of different culture. Exactly. Yeah. So,
and it's
that doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, it's also interesting too, like kind of Jonathan's brought up, and also Jens earlier, with different provinces taking charge in certain things. Yeah, like for example, Jens brought up the BC drug decriminalization. So small amounts of drugs were decriminalized. And essentially, that is overriding federal law to an extent, as far as I understand. I'm not
they
fully
got an
privy
exemption from Health Canada to do that.
And also,
what the hell is that Health Canada that would allow that? Would sign off on that? Sure. You know what I find fascinating and goes through my mind every damn day lately is that through COVID and shit like that, not one life. Unacceptable if we lose one life. However, go ahead and OD on shit. Like 6 people a day is what they're saying now. Not a problem. 6 lives? That's okay. But unless you buy this drug or have this injected into you, unacceptable. Not one life. Like, fuck.
Show me a piece of legislation ever that's been made to affect one single person. Can't do it.
Yeah,
but the thing with that is if the government got in on selling everything that people are ODing on, they would care less.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is why I think they need to let us have suppressors, and I'll gladly pay them $50 in taxes to do it.
True. There's a tax I'm willing to part with. Miriam Buchanan, I've never seen this person in the chat. Good to have you. Says simply listening. Miriam, are you from the RCMP? CSIS? I get that a lot. Just listening. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Show your face, damn it. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm expecting the Alberta government, Danielle Smith, to come out with something as well, sort of following up from Scott Moe's Saskatchewan government motion. Now, that was it's coming up on, I think, a couple of weeks ago now that Mo put forward that motion. I'm a little bit surprised there's been nothing out of Alberta so far. What do you guys think? Do you think that's going to happen, or do you think the UCP will just kind of sit back and see what transpires here?
I mean, they've been playing a little bit of back and forth when it comes to announcements like this. So I wouldn't be surprised. But also feel that Alberta's been stirring the pot, so to say, in other areas in the same way.
Certainly.
So I think they may have to space it out, because if they just keep, not to put it a little bit coarsely, like old man yelling at the sky, kind of.
Yes, please just put on your velvet gloves. I'm a little bit sensitive. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it will probably come. But it may.
I think it's probably on the list.
It's probably on the list that Danielle Smith has on there, because she's been very strategic in both middle fingers to the federal government. So,
yeah. What was it? What the hell was it lately? I just read something, and she had a press conference that she just flatly said, the federal government wants this? No. They can essentially go to hell.
Yeah, that's definitely something she's been delivering on. So
we need much more of this. I'm hoping people are starting to see this semblance of a spine that our provincial governments have suddenly developed, and I hope it's not grandstanding, but my hope is that it would bring some more hope to the citizens of these provinces and go, hey, yeah, you know what? We've got good things in these provinces, and we've been hobbled, hogtied, and tied to the federal post for so bloody long, and we are not Toronto out here. We don't need all your fucking garbage. We can take care of a lot of this shit ourselves. Bugger off.
I feel provincially there has been, even I would say more so politically, there has been a change in momentum. I feel like the Liberals know their days are numbered, and the Conservatives and the political right have a backbone, and they have some solid people behind them. So I think the momentum is changing. You ever seen a dog chase a muskrat, and then all of a sudden the muskrat turns around and starts chasing the big dog?
Not necessarily a muskrat, but those ground squirrels. They'll only take so much, and they'll turn.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden they're latched onto the lip of the dog.
Yes. Yep. I get
the analogy.
I feel like that's the political turn here. So I feel like, especially, I think one of the big things was basically the revolt against the carbon tax.
Sure.
I think that was kind of one of the big hinge points where it's like, this is La La Land.
Right.
This was a great idea when people had money, but now that people have been heavily dosed into reality, I think it's setting in that people are like, yeah, maybe let's not live in fantasy land.
Right. So I'm going to object a little bit. I don't know that it was ever a great idea.
Yeah,
it was manageable. Yes, I think when people had money.
Better wording, yes.
Yeah, I really object to the idea that it was a great idea.
Yeah,
and that's another thing. You know, I've always
tolerable idea.
Right. We're kind of going way off guns and stuff, but I've made this argument many times that a lot of innovation historically has come out of Canada, and a lot of where that's driven from is oil and gas, because they have the money. And and it does drive innovation, and it funds innovation and community building and all that kind of stuff. And then these sons of bitches, oh yeah, just transition, right? Was the latest big one, right? That Trudeau wanted to plant his fucking face on that sticker. Just transition. Okay, sure. And man, I've been in so many of these debates, let's call them, that all these people want to get rid of oil and gas. Motherfucker, I am in favor right now. Turn off that switch. Turn off that tap. Let's do it. Yeah. I love that idea. Let's do it.
Hope you have a
we'll
few sweaters.
We will see inside 3 weeks who really supports that idea now. It's anyway.
Yeah.
Woo! I'm fired up tonight.
There are some people who live like that. They're called the Amish.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's an easy holiday. It's you're working the whole
time.
Yes. Yeah. I know a few people in my northern travels that live off grid north of 60. So, and interestingly enough, I went to one community and both power plant operators lived off grid. There's a bit of irony.
That is gold.
So
look at this. Uke is coming out with knives.
Lulbertarian?
A lulbertarian? No. I'm just glad he didn't come right out and say libertarian. We'd be taking a road trip down to Uke's place.
Combination. Like I think I see the word Alberta and libertarian and LOL in there. Uke Kazi is a wordsmith of our time.
So, yeah, you can't please everyone all the time. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Canada Post?
Yes. Let's do that. Now, in my mind, I still haven't figured it out, and I haven't looked too deeply into it. But there's a couple of things, and some of it may be fear-mongering, and it wouldn't surprise me to find out that there's some federal government meddling in there, with the fear porn and division kind of tactics that they use. One of the things I heard, and I believe this was a statement coming directly out of some bigwig out of Canada Post, was that we're not willing to do this because we're not willing to put our people in harm's way. We think it's too risky to now. There was no context along with that. It's not as though Canada Post agents, employees, whatever, are going door to door and say, knocking on the door and say, "Mister, would you like to give up your firearms today, please?
We have a check for you."
Right.
Yeah.
All they're doing is, I think, as far as they were proposing to go or asked to go, was set up a depot, a collection depot, voluntary collection depot, and shipping the firearms off to God knows where.
Yes. It was a special box that they wanted to designate.
Right.
So if you have a prohib, you get sent a special box, and then you put it in the special box. You take it to the post office. They automatically know what to do, and it goes to a central collection and destruction.
Right. So now, where do you suppose that would pose any risk, danger of any sort to any of the Canada Post agents, employees, whatever? Now, this is where my mind goes to, well, that's just stoking fear, I think, that the gun-owning public are unstable, unpredictable, and dangerous. That's sort of my immediate thoughts that came to mind. The other one was they would probably encounter a lot of pretty grumpy damn people.
Yes.
And I can't say as I blame them for that. Even if somebody got to a legal, law-abiding gun owner, got to that point where he thought, well, this is just all this horseshit isn't worth it. I guess I'm going to go to Canada Post Depot and drop off my firearm, and that's that. But I'm not going to be happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Also, look at that this way. I think it's it's a little bit objective that all of a sudden you think people are going to lash out on Canada Post employees.
Yeah.
God forbid it does happen, first off. And also, I think people, most gun owners are smarter than that because it's not going to get you anywhere. What
100%.
I think it is, I think it's actually a cover statement because I think Canada Post doesn't want to be the scapegoat if it doesn't go well. Because essentially, even if it does go through, it's not going to be done well. Let's be honest. It's the government. So therefore, then the Liberal government can say, "Oh, it's Canada Post that messed it up. You know, they were bad. You know, it's not on us. You know, we didn't have anything to do with it. You know, internally, they messed up." So I think it's Canada Post can see the blame game coming. So that's why I think they're saying, no, we'll cite safety because safety is that weird hierarchy of buzzwords to say that to refuse it politely. I think that's my kind of take on it is to avoid blame and diversion. Also, I think it's a questionable. Mike has his Michael.
You
have your hand up.
I didn't put my hand up.
Yes.
I have a theory about why they're citing safety.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that gun crime since we banned guns has gone up. So
dramatically.
Maybe let's not go on the news and announce to every criminal and put a giant target on every Canada Post outlet. Even if that's not where stuff is, criminals not knowing to be the smartest people are like, let's just go rob every post office and see what we can come up with.
Genius.
Or here's
Canada
another
Post
one.
is like, we ain't having none of this. The other thing with that,
mm-hmm.
people tend to send stuff through the mail that's kind of important to them. Like say, oh, this was the last photos of grandma or whatever. And then if you find out, oh, it got knocked off from Canada Post because there was a robbery and they were lost because of that, you take the most anti-gun person. They're like, why did they have to do this buyback? Now my stuff, it's affecting me in another way. So then you get the disruption of the postal system.
Also another thing to look at it this way. These special boxes would be pretty obvious. A rifle box is
certainly
pretty obvious.
Right.
If you're a criminal, you just sit outside your local post office, wait for Bill to come walking in to the door with his obvious box.
Yeah.
And you and your 3 sketchy buddies in dark hoodies hold him up and take that box. All of a sudden, you got a free box with something nice inside.
Man, the possibilities are endless.
Fourth theory, Canada Post doesn't trust their employees.
That's also a good theory.
That is a very valid theory.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see the numbers. How many packages go mysteriously missing? Well, we have confirmation that it was on the truck, but it never made it to its destination. I mean, it's just like cops, right? Cops are held to this higher standard, right? We trust cops. And you know what? They're just people too. Canada Post employees, agents are just people too. Capable of anything any other human can do. So, and we've all seen, how do you say, employment selection processes. It's 10 years are not infallible.
Yes.
So
very much so.
You know, something while you guys were talking, I was thinking about Canada Post. Like, do they really give a shit what anybody thinks of them? Are they not pretty much the only game in town unless you want to send every letter by courier of some sort? Who gives a shit? Right? They are the letter delivery package delivery game in town.
Mm-hmm.
So does it really affect them? Nah.
Well, the thing is it affect them as a whole, as an organization? It's not going to change as an organization.
No.
For certain decision-making individuals, it could definitely affect them.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why I think the cover your ass policy of saying, no, we don't want to do this. That's why I think it's brought about.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing too is Ian Runkle brought this up. Is okay, so they get a box. So all of a sudden, okay, there's obviously got to be a procedure. All of a sudden, the post worker opens up the box. Do they know what they're looking at? All of a sudden, buddy puts an airsoft gun in place of their AR, and the post office officer opens it up and is like, yeah, that looks like a gun. Turns out that's not the actual firearm. That's an airsoft gun. Well, who's to blame now?
Right. Right.
Or like he said, again, the postal theft. All of a sudden, they get to the collection site, open it up, and it's 3 bricks inside of that box.
Oh, yeah. I never really thought about that. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Also, what
but
happens
I've got my
to you
tracking
if it doesn't
number.
get there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So do you relinquish all responsibility at point of drop off to Canada Post, or once confirmation of receipt or whatever at the destruction depot or whatever it is? I can't see that liability lying with you until destination, but you never know with this bloody government.
That's the thing. In theory, effectively, they would have to have a representative at the RCMP at every single post office.
And we know that's reliable.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, they haven't done it since the 1800s.
Yes.
Right.
So all of a sudden it's like, well, the whole idea of Canada Post was to be cheap and efficient, but if you need an RCMP officer at every single Canada Post office, all of a sudden that's inflated dollars. Yeah.
What happens when that RCMP officer posted to the post office is in cahoots with that morally decrepit postal worker?
Mm-hmm.
What happens then? I think Boone brings up a good point, and Mikey might have had that brought up earlier, but Boone says, imagine how many ARs could be stolen by less morally conscious post office employees. Hey, yep.
Very valid possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing also in the statement too, I think, or in related news, is that basically they want this completed by the next election cycle. which is interesting timing. And I think I kind of predicted this earlier, is that the forced confiscation would come up around the election cycle.
100%.
Because the Liberal government has half a toothpick to stand on right now.
Yeah.
So
they'll be grasping at straws hard.
They will be grasping at straws. So they put this one in the back pocket. So come election time, just like the last election, they can say they're bringing the assault weapons back or whatever their spin on is going to be.
Well, maybe Jag Meat could head that one up. We've been forcing the Liberals to do all these things, and you know what? The Liberals wouldn't do that on their own, and the only reason we have this now is because of the NDP. We forced them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just want to hunt geese with a Bofors gun. I don't know what's so complicated about this.
A 10 gauge. I read a story one time, long time ago when I was a kid, about some guy on the East Coast hunting sea ducks on what do they call those? They weren't even boats; they're basically just like slabs of wood.
Like
and
a paddleboard?
Well, almost, but it was. I want to call it a shunt. It wasn't a shunt.
Punt.
Punt?
Sure.
Well, punt gun is that's
Well,
a different
okay.
thing. Yeah.
Anyways, he had this 2-gauge shotgun. I just kind of envisioned a cannon,
Yeah.
and he stuffed it with pretty much anything he could find, nails and all that kind of stuff. And he would paddle out to a flock of these sea ducks
Yes.
out there, and he would let this thing rip, and he would kill 24 of these ducks and gather them up and take them back in, and that was how he made a living and how he fed his family. And then it was the PEI government or something, some damn thing like that, put a stop to that.
Mhm.
It wasn't as though he had a commercial business selling across Canada, duck delicacy or some shit. But
Mhm.
anyways, I just thought it was kind of fantastic. They described this 2-gauge shotgun
Yeah.
that he
Punt
stuffed
gun,
with nails. Punt gun, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. If you go to the Henry Ford Museum, they actually have a nice large one on display.
Is that right?
Yes, they have a good firearms display. It's an interesting museum because it's not just cars, it's planes, trains, automobiles, and American history.
Okay.
Very
John
pretty-
Candy's there somewhere.
Probably.
Just on formaldehyde like Lennon is just John Candy's lying.
Yeah.
Too funny. All right. Well, should we move on? Have we sufficiently beat that one?
I think it's been beaten.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we covered the downfalls of Canada Post.
One thing I did want to ask though, what did you say that they wanted it done before the next election? Now, done
Yes.
as in the confiscation complete, or the arrangement to start the compensate or the confiscation?
See if I can find it here on the article.
Young Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Because that's interesting. Something. What? It was announced just the other day, or it came out just the other day. I don't think it was announced at all, but something got moved back to a week beyond the next election. Now, whether that was putting C-21 into full effect or just what, I don't know.
No, that was so the MPs get their golden pension if they get fired.
There was that, but I read something that was just slightly different than that. Something to do with firearms. I know that goddamn election date was moved back so that the fucking MPs that have been in for the last 6 years would then get their full fucking lifetime pension. And the fact that every Canadian across this country isn't like burning something with Government of Canada sticker or stamp on it is beyond me. Everybody just lays over and goes, "No, well, away she goes." This drives me absolutely
nuts.
nuts.
New logo they rolled out the other day.
No, God, please! I don't know if I want to know.
It looks like a digit. Someone's banging a moose, but it's like digital, but like really, really pixelated. I think they're trying to make it look like Canada. It looks like someone's banging a moose from what I saw.
It's like those goofy pictures that you see in the mall. Like there's something hidden in there, but you got to cross your eyes to see it or something like that. Multicam, somebody banging a moose.
Yeah, it's like 18 pixels total, and they tried to make it look like Canada. I think it looks like someone's banging a moose.
It's probably a good representation, to be honest.
And they had to put out a thing saying
Canada as a fucking mess.
We're sorry, that's not our logo. We're going to keep the original with the swords and the maple leaf and everything, but I just thought it was funny.
It was different. I just looked in the article. Unfortunately, it's very vague. They said,
of course it is.
The process complete by 2025.
Yeah.
Now, the process of initiating it versus completing the confiscation are two different things.
100%.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Where do we go now? You guys attended a match near Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. Last weekend? Was it last weekend or the weekend before that? I can't remember.
Last weekend, yeah.
Last weekend. That sounded like a pile of fun. Tell us all about it.
So we decided that rimfire is fun, but what if we could make this more expensive? We decided, let's go shoot centerfire.
Yes.
Do it.
Was how it started. And it was different, and I learned quite a bit.
What did you learn, Mike?
Where to start? Get your load figured out before you get there. Get some good dope.
You
That's a
did
basic.
not.
Oh no, I had decent enough dope. I could hit targets.
Okay.
But wind was
Allegedly.
where I struggled with the wind. We were hitting probably 30-mile-an-hour winds on average with gusts. Yeah, but it was
steady. Steady was 15 to 20 steady, at least
No
most
kidding.
of the weekend. 15 to 20.
Two Kestrels exploded.
I read that. So what I remember about that match, the location, if it's still in the same location, which I assume it is, there's that gully draw, whatever you want to call it, depending on your location vernacular.
Cooley.
Cooley. There's another one. That's clearly southern Saskatchewan talk, and probably into North Dakota. Winds do fucky things through there. They'll zip down the one side and fly up the other side. I know it's tough out there, but I've never shot out there in 25-mile-an-hour plus winds. That is nuts. And what does it take to blow up a damn Kestrel? That's an interesting one.
Yes.
Because it wasn't like it was super dusty either.
Oh, really?
With the exception of one stage. But yes, there was Jay Wolf on Instagram. I forget his full name, but I assume it's like a Jonathan Wolf.
Jordan Wolf.
Jordan Wolf, sorry.
Yeah.
He posted the photo of the impeller that had gave out on his Kestrel from that match.
No kidding.
Yes.
And then
it literally
squad. Dawn, I think it was Dawn. His blew up too.
Dawn's blew up as well too.
I think Dawn's blew up as well.
Yeah. So the match took out 2 Kestrels at least, and I'm pretty sure at least at one time during the match, everyone's unattended tripod had fallen over.
At least once.
Yeah, at least once. So.
Oh man.
My binos ate it hard.
Yes.
Oh, is that right? Oh, I suppose you had them attached to the tripod.
With weight in the weighing it down. I had one of my bags weighing it down. I think it was my game changer. So
Right.
it shouldn't have
Is
moved.
that right?
Yes, it was that bad.
No kidding. You wanted to go to Manitoba?
Just about. I did manage to fix the binos though. So
that's good.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
So obviously you had some struggles to begin with, Mike, with wind. So you ended up changing your dope source. Talk about that. So
originally I thought, okay, Kestrel, wind thing, Southern Alberta, wind, Kestrel, all in one. Great, let's do this.
Right.
So I go in there, first stage, I missed. Okay, try it again. I missed. Okay. Something's not going right. I'm going to pull up my other dope that I had on my phone. Because I have the Applied app on my phone. Applied is in Kestrel, Applied is in the phone. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Start using the phone. Everything's lining up. So I don't know what I did because the app goes from the phone to the Kestrel. So the numbers are all the same, but something's off. And all of the wind calls that they were telling me, it's like either it was way worse downrange or my math was off. Because it's hold 2 mils, and I'm like, I have to hold 4 to hit a target.
Wow, really?
Well, I was running 112s in the 6.
Okay.
So they blew around a bit.
I think a lot of guys get baffled by that, honestly, because the wind at your location is one thing, and it could be accurate, and your solution for your location could be accurate. but 900 meters downrange, 700 meters downrange, even.
Mhm.
You could go
Yes.
through 3 different wind directions, especially if the terrain would support that. Holy smokes, yeah.
The
That's
first day of the
interesting.
match, there was minimal feedback. So this
Yeah.
area is, like, call it like nub grass prairie.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
basically golf green with the odd little scrub. So
Some
you
of the
got-
tallest things out there are cactus and rattlesnakes.
Yes, very true. So you have minimal feedback to that regard, and
Yeah.
day one was actually quite cool. So there's effectively just about no mirage on day one. So to read down location, your only field feedback was really a missed shot and the dust.
Yep.
However, that only gives you so much, because that's actually, for the most part, behind the target.
Right.
And that's one thing I will say, coming from a rimfire perspective, is essentially, for the most part, in rimfire, when you miss a shot, you don't get a whole lot of feedback unless you catch the shot.
Right.
So just based off an experience myself, like I can generally know why I missed a shot, or at least have a fairly close idea. I would say with adapting with center fire and actually seeing the dirt splash past a target, like if it doesn't have a berm behind it, I found one thing that's what I need to learn to do is learn to read the dust of a miss. Was that a high miss? Was that a low miss?
That is tough.
Into the wind miss, or is that a out of the wind miss?
Right.
So that's something for me. I intend to, next time I get shooting out on a flat field, is to purposely go out and miss a target and learn how to read a miss without a proper backstop.
Right.
So that was definitely, I say, probably the biggest learning curve for me at that match, because there was a few stages where there was, like, it was low and backing into a valley.
Right.
And obviously you have a more traditional backstop, and it was a lot easier to catch what was going on. It's okay, I missed on the dirt to the right there. Pretty easy. I'm going to move over to the left, 0.3 mils. Good to go. So, or whatever.
Yeah, your windage is a whole lot easier picking up splash, right? It may not be 100%, but you have a very, very good idea of how much you need to adjust for wind. Elevation, on the other hand, if you blast it past that target when there's nothing but flat stuff in behind your target, I don't know how many times, like, especially Jens and I, because he and I shoot together the most. There's that debate. Did it go under? Or did we just sail slightly over top? Or what exactly? And especially if there's a pretty stiff breeze, then all you see is that dirt moving from left to right, say. Now, where was the origin of that dirt?
Yes.
So, and we've been caught more than once, especially at extended ranges, like when we play the ELR game. We'll see a splash that's, say, 0.3 off the top of the target. That seems easy. On a flat piece of paper, say, okay, there's the top of your target, and your hit was here. Excellent. Come down 0.6, and you're on. And I'm talking, 1,900 meters, 2,200 meters, something like that. So you think about it, though, that bullet is coming down. That angle of approach at the target location is pretty damn steep. So the 0.6 you measured to get down to center a target at, somewhere around 2,000 meters or some damn thing with those big cartridges that we shoot. Is it really that? Or did that miss by 1.4? Right? Because it sailed far enough beyond that target on a flat plane behind that target. And you don't know. 30 meters past that target, chances are you're not that far off. 60 meters beyond that target, chances are you are way the fuck off in elevation.
Mm-hmm.
So it is exceedingly tough. You get out to Rob Furlong's range. Shout out Rob Furlong's Marksmanship Academy, where we do King of 2 Miles. It is, for the most part, flat. When you get out on that range, yes, there are ups and downs and there are holes out there and everything, but your line of sight and everything is pretty stinking flat. And they don't place targets out there to provide gimmies to the contestants.
Really?
Let's just say
really?
that.
Yes.
So that is challenging. And in a location like you guys are, if I remember correctly, the last time I shot that match, it was much the same. There were some that were kind of within that valley that you had a decent backstop, so you could tell if you sailed or if you hit low or whatever, and make a reasonably accurate adjustment to get elevation wise onto that target again. But I know there are some that shit, was that 20 meters behind, or was that 40, or was that 80? And how much do I come down now?
Yes.
And then you hear the beep.
Yeah, time's up.
Yeah.
And also that bullet has sailed past, possibly even 100 yards, and it's been deflected more by wind. So obviously the wind has
certainly
blown it to the wind direction.
Certainly.
But does that mean, again, were you off left edge? Were you off right edge?
Yeah.
So because it's either way, that the splash was to the right of the target,
right,
following the wind direction. So
how did they have it set up this year? Where last time I went, there was quite a stretch of stages where you were headed straight west, and then toward the end it kind of came around to the south a little bit, and there were a few stages that were, most of the stages were shooting north or northwest, I believe, a little bit northeast, but then when you get to the end of it, you're shooting directly west. So that's got to play into wind holds and stuff like that too, once you make that transition for azimuth, right?
Yes, yeah, this was correct. So it's basically a giant L-shaped direction of fire.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I thought so.
Predominantly long one direction, and then a little short end one another direction. Where I think there was two or three stages. So it was difficult because the beginning of the first day, you had a solid wind one direction, and then come noon, you had, for the predominantly on the long part of the L shape, you had it was like at 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock headwind, and it was switching back and forth. So into you. So that was also greasy. And then also if you change that direction, all of a sudden that was a little bit of a switchy 90-degree wind. And then the morning of the second day, the wind was the opposite direction to the first morning. And we had those big 30-mile-per-hour gusts. So you were actually able to experience every wind direction during that match at some time, depending on what stage you were on.
Bunch of happy faces out there, I'll bet. So results. I know that Carrie Mansour did really well, and I'm on a group chat with a bunch of guys, and Carrie's involved as well. She took top lady. Even her husband, who is not necessarily the most admonishing person, commented that she and her rifle shot really well. So she took top lady out there, I guess. Who else kind of stood out?
Go ahead, Mike.
I would say the Beckleys stood out quite well in that match.
Oh, is that right? Good for them. Yeah, they're team, those two. Both of those guys shoot well. How old is Tyler Chase now? He's 16, 17?
16, I think, yeah.
Yeah. That little bastard can shoot.
Yes.
Both of them, they were in our squad. We're watching, like,
Yeah.
I need to get to that level.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt Tyler can shoot, but I'll sing the praises of the young guy before Dad, and Dad understands, I'm sure. But
Yeah, Chase took top junior and
He
third
did? Okay.
overall. So
Okay.
he went home with 2
is
placements.
that right?
In that
Wow.
regard. Yes.
It's a third or fifth.
Either
way.
It was third. Let me pull
Either
up the
way.
score here.
Up here, way up here.
That is amazing. So he's part of Team Apex now, or both of them are part of Team Apex now, aren't they?
Yes.
Because they were running Minox scopes before, I thought.
Yeah, they
Was
they
it
are,
Minox? I'm sure. So they're part of Team
they're
Apex.
part of Team Apex now. That's all that matters.
Well, okay,
Yes.
good. What did you notice? What rifles they were shooting? I know that for the NRL, which they're very involved in, at least Chase was shooting the Hunt 26 chassis from MDT, and Tyler, I'm not sure whether he was shooting the same or not. I know they got a couple of different rigs set up.
Yeah, they changed. Let me pull up the photos here to see what they were shooting. But I'll note
Tyler
that
was running the MPA, and I think Chase was running an ACC, or it might have been
Yes.
an MPA.
Oh, right, because Tyler bought a full MPA rifle, like a full MPA build, right?
Possibly.
I know we had him on the podcast. Oh God, when the heck was that?
That was when the stream
October?
crashed halfway through. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right too, because that's when I had the fire alarm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At
Yes.
camp.
yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, because Tyler's got that MPA. What's the latest fancy one? That chassis. It's a gem, anyways. That's a gorgeous piece of equipment. Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, and I will say Tyler, he placed 5th overall. So
Okay.
Both Chase and Tyler went home with trophies. And
Holy smokes, good for them.
the winner that took it all home was Colt Soppet.
Oh man, he's doing well, hey.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And he took it with 137 match points. And the round count was 198, I believe.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
So if you put that into percentage, the winner was still only 60 to 70% hit percentage.
That's it.
So
that right?
That shows you how difficult the match was.
That's definitely an indicator of that. That wind is. I'm assuming was the biggest factor.
Yes. So that's
Holy cow.
The winner took it with it turns out to be a 69% hit percentage.
Jeff, don't do that.
Yes. So, but
That
yes,
is funny.
Just goes to show you how difficult it was. So essentially, the winner of it was still missing 2 to 3 shots a stage. So
holy cow!
Yeah,
you look at the breakdown in practice score. Like, here's the stage. There's 80-ish people there. Probably 30 would zero a stage. 20 to 30 could zero a stage on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow!
Like, it was. I thought I was shooting bad because a whole bunch of new stuff at once. I'm like, oh, I actually didn't do terrible.
That's
and also
funny.
To put it in perspective, it was only the top 10 that were over 100 match points.
Is that right?
So I mean, there is a group of 90 right below that, probably another group of 10 in the 90-ish match points.
Right.
But it goes to show you that the top 10 were the only ones essentially shooting over 50% hit rate.
Wow.
Yes. So
were Chris Hoyen and Jeff Scobie there that weekend?
No.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
I think they were down somewhere in the States.
That's what I thought I saw. Okay.
Let's put in some real
That's crazy.
perspective, Derek. Where did we show up?
Interesting fact, Mike and I actually tied in points value However,
No.
Mike took it home for the
there's
PRS
a
barricade.
however, sir.
So on the time wise, so
Okay.
Mike actually did quite well on that PRS barricade. He did that in let's see, where's the time? Yeah, 66 seconds. So
Oh. Huh.
so that's where the difference between us came. I definitely did better the first day, and then Mike picked it up the second day. So got into the groove. So
I've encountered sort of locally a kind of, let's call it a sub debate. Just a small group of guys talking, and another one of these group chats. And there was one fella in this group that his first PRS match was this Medicine Hat Southern Alberta Precision Rifle League match. And so he learned a lot, and he was kind of going on a little bit about what he learned and what he saw and all that kind of stuff. And he mentioned tripods for rear rifle support.
Yes.
Rear support off a barricade. So I kind of watched this chat for, I'm going to say 20 minutes or something, where I gave this new shooter, well, not a new shooter, new to PRS, some slack, expressing, and he was asking questions like, why is this allowed? Or how do you do this? And I didn't realize that deploying a tripod on a clock would be so difficult and all that kind of stuff. And there were a couple of other guys, both of which have never participated in PRS, saying that that shouldn't be allowed and has nothing to do with the barricade itself, and people should not use tripods for rear support because they should, the only way you're going to improve your shooting is if you don't use a crutch and things like this. And I let it go for a while, and then I just had to kind of chime in and say, you realize that these things are allowed in the rules for a reason, and I suppose maybe that the people who use the tools available to them, allowed by the rules, are the ones who are probably, it's probably what separates top 10 from mid pack. So if you're satisfied with mid pack, even if you are an excellent shooter, I suppose leave your tripod at home. Nobody's telling you that you should bring a tripod. In the rules, it says you're allowed a tripod. It is 100% up to you whether or not you bring one. And it got pretty quiet after that. But I thought it was kind of fascinating. It is. Everybody chirps, right?
No, of course.
And, you should do this, even though I've never done it. I don't know what your job is, but my book says you're doing it wrong.
Yes, it would be interesting to see a match without them, just in terms of to see what effect that has, just as just an experiment. However, I will say this: I believe it is a form of strategy. It is a trade-off of time for stability.
100% it is.
Yes.
Yes, you're spot on.
I'd be interested to see, because I think for the good part, a lot of people using tripod rear support are opting for the fat boys with just the single point of adjustment.
Yeah, the two-stage legs on them, or whatever you want to call them.
Legs.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yes,
single pull.
Single pull, if you want to call it.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
I see that as a thing. It'd be interesting to see. Okay, how much that would change if you're only allowed, say, like a triple pull style tripod. Because also, you're putting up more time, and I think that'd be interesting to see. Not that I want to see it, but it just as an inquisitive kind of mind thing. How much would that affect how often people use rear tripod support?
For sure.
Yeah.
I should probably expand a little bit on what probably seemed to most people to be criticism. What I was going through before about these three guys talking. It wasn't so much criticism as it was just a fucking check. Right? Think about what you're saying before it comes out of your mouth. Engage this before this, right?
Yeah.
And yes, I'm kind of inherently that leave the toys at home and improve your shooting. And I've been that way with so many things in my life forever. I still I'm a proponent of needing to know how to range a target without a laser rangefinder. That kind of thing. Your electronic device that tells you all your dope, that's awesome, but you should have a backup kind of thing. So I agree to some extent with what some of those guys were saying, or with some of what those guys were saying. I did say to one guy, he's an avid bench rest guy, and I did kind of quip that what bench resters could very well shoot off a plain old bipod or a set of bags. Just if they would just apply themselves a little bit more, but they choose to go with a fine dial, precise, heavy $1,000 front rest. So same game, same game. It's just a different color,
different application.
People get innovative. Like I got a 60-pound magnet attached to a ball head that you can clip on in an Arca mount.
Oh,
so if you're on a vehicle, I can literally stick my gun to the side of the vehicle and it doesn't move.
Right. Giddy up.
Or with what Mammoth Sniper Challenge just posted not that long ago with the hatchet. Did you see that?
I did. It was kind of funny. I read some of the comments and that is the most innovative thing I've ever seen. That's great. I'm like, man, I think they did it for likes, for lack of a better way to put that.
It is visually appealing.
It was cool as shit.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes,
and it's not really stupid badass if it works.
Yes.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're 100% right. Absolutely. Yeah. Ratchet strap a dildo to a tree would just, do the same thing, but probably take more time. and you'd get shit when you got home too, when Mama's going like, "What did you do with my stuff?" As a poor analogy, I sorry, the first thing that came to mind. God only knows.
It's 2024. We don't judge now.
Don't listen. Yes. I don't like that tone.
It's okay. Everyone on the firing line will be judging you if you do that.
No.
Yes.
Well, you got to think about some of the guys that you hang around with at some of these shoots and that. They would make a whore blush sometimes, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Or even with the tack tables, do you go buy a nice precision machined aluminum piece, or do you glue an Amazon Arca rail to a cutting board?
Right.
This is true.
The non-slip or non-stick. Yeah.
One thing I will say, reflecting upon the match, is going into it. My focus was to take my time.
Yeah.
Just because I know that I'm adapting. So rushing is not a good strategy when you're learning something new.
You want to get your heart rate up around 115.
Yes, you don't want to do that. So I purposely did take my time to focus on making good shots. And one thing I will notice is that if I were to change again, go back to that match, is I actually probably would pull at the rear tripod support somewhere.
Listen, when used right, it is a bloody gem. And especially in those wins, like we've all sat there on the bench or on the ground off a tripod or a bipod or whatever, trying to do load development or some stupid thing, and the bloody wind is blowing your body around. So in a match where points matter, Why the hell would you not use a tripod for rear support if you have it available to you?
Yes.
Joel Anthony chimes in with tripod and lawn chair is my favorite. I only have one question. I agree fully. However,
Yes.
do you have a cup holder in that lawn chair? I think that would be the only thing to top that
These
off.
are the real questions.
That's right.
Yes.
Shit. All right. Okay. One thing, sorry, that I've been thinking about this whole time. You guys are kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. Sort of primarily rimfire shooters with the same type of event. The differences that you saw between rimfire events, at least similar to the SAPRL PRS event. How do they compare centerfire versus rimfire?
So for me,
Jonathan Bergen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah. So for me, what I noticed in just terms of that match style, I think two biggest thing are target sizes and stage design.
Okay.
I would say that stage design for SAPRL was very simple. And I would say lower target count than rimfire. Just logistically, it's a lot easier to set up rimfire targets, a lot easier to have more of them. So to have a greater target array and therefore play around with that sequence more is much easier and approachable for rimfire.
Right.
So I noticed with rimfire, you can really play around with that element of the game, whereas centerfire, just logistically having all that steel and setting all that big steel up would be
that's very true,
challenging. Yeah. So that's when I noticed. So therefore, they're all very basic. Like I only had one mental mistake, thankfully, out of the 18 stages that match, and that one I shot a target twice instead of shooting it once, just because I wanted to hit it. So get back here. So,
right.
So another thing
you're gonna take it and you're gonna like it.
At least for this match, again, I don't have a whole lot of centerfire matches compared to target size. Relatively was quite small. So we actually got some trigger cam footage, and going back through it, there was definitely a lot of like less than half a mil targets. So
is that right?
0.4 mil ish targets, and in that case, precision and stability. I even did the calculation, like ballistically with me, even a difference of like 10 or 20 feet per second at that distance would have put me 0.3 mils down. So in that case, on a 0.4 mil target, that's not very forgiving. So to have an accurate system and good stability, I think was really important in that regard, in comparison from my rimfire experience to this centerfire experience.
So what is it? What is it? 3.438 minutes in a mil. Is that right? I think that's right.
Something like that.
Okay, so you're talking 0.4 mil. So that would be minute and a half size targets.
I think they're a little bigger than that. That's going off of what we could try to measure. We're not sure if it's calibrated
in that wind. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, you're so right though. Like if you have a small-ish target, that hit zone, especially in those conditions, shrinks up like crazy. Hey. So, okay. Before I get into calibers, Mike, what did you find in that match versus rimfire match?
Target acquisition on some of the stages is a lot more interesting when they're really far away.
Yeah.
So when you're running like a 16 power and the target's 200 meters away, pretty easy to find.
Right.
But when they're at 800 and you're panning directions, I'm lucky I put a red dot on top of my scope That is the
Right.
best decision I ever made for that match.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah. I've been caught
It-
more than once like that. Yeah, you can see it. I'm pretty sure that's it. You get in behind that scope, and even if you dial back to like 10 power or something like that, it's tough to find that shit way the
And
heck out there.
I like the red dot because you look like, okay, I know that rock is there, that hill was there. You bring up your red dot, bring yourself down. You're within the ballpark of at least seeing it through your scope.
Right.
Instead of fighting with your zoom and everything and panning every which way, like
Oh,
it's
I
there.
know.
Red dot,
Yeah.
boom, down, in.
Yes.
There's a couple of
I would say that's
Right.
good for making up for lack of practice. Fortunately, with my rimfire, I've gotten a lot of practice in recently, and I
Okay.
found I've gotten into a pretty good system. However, adapting to a different rifle, just the ergonomics changed, and that follow through of
Right.
sighting your target downrange and then dropping into your scope.
Right.
That is a little bit of a disconnect there for sure for the different ergonomics.
I've always loved the guys, you read on forums and stuff like that, where, you should have every one of your rifles set up the way you need it and all that kind of stuff. I have, I don't know, probably at least 8, maybe 10 different chassis stocks, whatever. I have never been able to attain similarity between any two of them.
It also depends what kind of style you like too, though.
100%.
This is true.
100%. Yeah.
We
I suppose if you committed to one stock, or chassis or whatever, like you went straight MPA, straight MDT, elite or whatever the hell, whatever your choice, sure, that would be much easier. But most of us, I think, they want to try. We want to try a little bit of many things, to be honest. And why would we pigeonhole ourselves to one system?
Yes.
Anyway,
Especially
that's
with
the way
how cool
I.
all the chassis look right now.
Oh my God! No kidding.
Scott's got a piece of advice for me.
Right.
Throw a 27-inch MTU contour on my 22. I guess that makes more sense to build your rimfire up to the same dimensions of your centerfire. I think he's on to something here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You imagine a 27-inch rimfire barrel.
I think
the right guy will get onto it, and then everyone will be ordering a 20-foot tractor axle.
Oh, you know it. Absolutely. It is. Yeah. It's funny. It's like a herd of elk. You know how they all, like, there's a mile of elk. They're all following the same path. Or gravel truckers. They all have to go in the same fucking track. But yeah, one guy starts it, there'll be countless other people following for sure. I think you should start it, Derek. Just do it.
I'm not sure. I had to wait a while for my IBI pipe. I'm not sure if I want to wait for another one. So.
Oh, is that right?
Yes,
which pipe? A rimfire pipe?
A rimfire pipe, yeah.
Oh, is that right? How long you been waiting?
That wasn't too bad. But I know IBI has upped their lead times now. I think they're 12 to 16 weeks, whereas I think I ordered it was 10 to 12.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's
listen, in IBI's defense, I know they've lost a couple of fairly key people, like machine operators and that lately, but they've replaced them recently, and they're reportedly kind of back on track. Yes, now of course there's a backlog, but they're making up ground now from what I've been told. You know what? You consider the alternatives around. From any of the big makers, stateside especially, man, those lead times are insane.
Yes.
We have KS Arms available to us for barrel makers in Edmonton. That I'm not sure what their lead times are anymore. But IBI and KS are kind of operating together now. I know Ryan's been managing both, as far as I know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know that Ryan went over to KS. I don't know whether it was the barrel line or the KS actions, but they needed some help, so they sort of absconded, or what is the word, absconded or absconded Ryan to help with that. So there's some progress being made there. Who else do we have for barrel makers in Canada? There used to be Ron Smith. Oh, Cadex for sure. Yeah. Cadex times are kind of way out there though, because they have so many uh there's government contracts
Man, you
that
don't
kind of
want
take
to interrupt
precedence,
a
right?
government contract there. You
That's
want to
right.
keep that money rolling.
That's right. We True enough. Ron Smith used to be another guy, but I don't know whether he's passed away or just quit. But he was kind of the Canadian king of gain twist barrels. But I just read recently that that's no longer available. I know, God, I talked to him probably 10 years ago, and he was 82 at that time. But by all reports, he was a pretty good barrel maker. There's oh man, down east there was somebody else making pretty good barrels. A lot of F class guys in Saskatchewan who was using this barrel maker down east. But at any rate,
Boone's chiming in saying apparently Cadex is using Bartland barrels.
You know what? That is entirely possible.
Yeah.
I could see with the volume that they might have to deal with.
Yes.
Why would they not go to a third party barrel provider? It's and to be perfectly honest, does Cadex make their own barrels? I know they make their own actions, their own chassis, their own accessories, all that kind of stuff. But I can't honestly say if they make their own barrels. That's a pretty specialized thing.
Scotty's chiming in here. Apparently, Cadex is house barrels.
Okay.
And a Bartland auction. So it probably makes sense. They probably do have some production. But if that production's not your bread and butter, then outsourcing is kind of the way to go in that regard. So
right, especially when somebody else is set up for that, and that is their primary shtick. Why not just throw an order in for a couple of hundred and everybody's happy?
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's this JC Customs in New Brunswick.
That's it.
I think.
That's right. Yeah, and it's funny. My 6.5 Rooster, I think, is a JC Customs, and it shoots very well. But the guy that I got it through was an F class guy, and there's kind of the old boys club there, where we got into this barrel manufacturer and we want to keep this for ourselves. I'm willing to get you a barrel, but you're not going to know who it came from because we don't want to let that out into the wild. So
I don't understand that. Like, let's not grow the industry and get more people shooting. Let's just keep this to ourselves. I don't understand it.
Well, F class guys, IPSC guys, well, they're different breeds sometimes.
I keep going back to that. It's going to be my new answer for everything. Trudeau goes with it's the current year. I go, it's not 1800 anymore. We don't have to keep doing this
because it's 2015.
I'm like, no, it's because it's not 1800. It works.
Listen,
different.
Oh, I know. I understand it to a point. Any edge that you can get on the competition, you want to take advantage of, I suppose. But yeah, it seems a little bit silly to those of us outside that circle, for sure. But within that circle, if you take it super seriously, like some of those guys do, nah. I could kind of see where they're coming from, I suppose. Whatever. We have options.
It's the golden age of the bolt gun in Canada.
Is it now? Okay, sure. We'll go with that for now. What does Scotty say? What's that?
What was the other golden age where you could buy a 303 for $15 at Sears?
Right. Or you
Sears
know what?
Roebuck.
Yeah.
And company.
Like you guys remember that, you young sons of bitches.
I wasn't even
Woolworths.
there for that.
Yeah.
Worse. It's funny.
I
was
wasn't
just
there,
talking.
but I have a good memory of people
Right.
telling these stories.
You saw it while you were in the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time the guy was buying an MP5. That's how long it was.
Oh God. You know what? I was having a conversation with a couple of guys at work last week, and we're talking about SKSs again. And you know what? I have forever held this opinion that an SKS is just I don't know, it's like a fucking rash. Because every damn range I would go to, including my own on my private land out on my farm, where I never minded anybody going to shoot as long as they were respectful and didn't trash the place up, which I've had a few. But anyway, that's been dealt with. But you know what? Those 7.62 by 39 cases, steel cases, are sprayed everywhere. You know, it seemed, at least back then when SKSs were cheap, that the guys that shot SKSs were like smokers. You know, you go to any little smoking area and there are fucking buds or butts spread everywhere, right? Like they can't hit the pale.
Yes.
I equated that to SKS shooters. And even though they were $120 a piece with a complimentary, 300 round can or whatever of ammo, I thought, no fucking way am I going to own one of these. And now I'm thinking I should have bought a crate. Just to have
a great return on investment.
That's right.
It's interesting too, like the Soviet weapons. Like I've been recently watching some combat footage in Ukraine, and like the AKs and the Soviet weapons will fling brass aggressively.
Yeah.
And I actually know a guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's grandfathered.
That'll take an eye out, that shit.
So he bought a Canada legal AK in the late 80s before C11 came. He's grandfathered in. He can confirm that they fling brass very aggressively.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that is, but it seems like it's like a water sprinkler when it comes to brass, those Soviet era firearms.
No kidding.
Because they were meant to never be fired and only dropped once.
No, that's right. Yeah, you bet. All right, what did we not get to today that we...
I think we'll probably talk briefly on upcoming matches.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. The season is upon us.
So the July, what did you say, 13th weekend?
13th, 14th is the Apex Optics Rocky Mountain Challenge, I think is what they're calling it.
There it is. Yeah.
It is a PRS sanctioned pro match, so 2-day match. So this match is a qualifier if you want to essentially be on Team Canada. So this will be a recognized match. So it's a big deal in that regard. And it will be the only one PRS sanctioned in Canada this year. Also, it will have the Saturday evening. There'll be basically a banquet style meal and live entertainment as well, and lots of other amenities. So you can check it out. Apex has a link on their website. I'll probably actually look it up in here now and post in the comments. And registration is on Practice Score as well too. I'm not sure if I'm missing any other details there, but and then next weekend is the first NRL hunter in Canada.
That's next weekend.
That is next weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so Mike and I will be heading down there.
I got that that link, by the way. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Mike and I will be heading down there to compete. We'll be competing in the team category. So we will have live updates from that. So
That's awesome.
Can check those out at Banyak Precision on Instagram, and we'll have some content.
Get your dose of ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Indeed. Yes.
Well, that's good, man. That's I forgot about that one. That's
yes. So
I didn't realize it was this early. Good.
Yes, Tyler and Chase Beckley are hosting. Tyler just sent out the email with the details from the match, actually today.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure if there are spots available, but at this point, probably most people are that are going. But it should be a pretty awesome experience, and we'll report back on those happenings. So.
And I can't remember. I'm thinking back to when we had Chase and Tyler on the show. Did they say around 80 shooters? Am I correct in that? Do you remember?
I do believe that's what they're capping it off at is 80, just logistically.
Right.
I'm not sure if that number has been met. I know for an NRL hunter, the bare minimum is 40. For they say to have an event hosted, so it's between 80 and 40. So,
and forgive me if you've already said this, but that's the MDT Rocky Mountain challenge,
yes.
Correct? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. And there will be a second NRL hunter match in Canada. This one will be in Alberta, and I believe it's called the Willow Creek Washout.
Okay. Cool.
That is June 7th to 9th for the Willow Creek match.
There you go, folks. You heard it first on the Ballistically Speaking podcast.
Scott Chitchell chimed in here just on the topic of upcoming matches. Nathan Wiggins usually prints a full Excel spreadsheet of every match in Central Western Canada.
Yeah.
As well as somewhat local U.S., so our northern states matches. So that's another good resource as well too. And we'll have a schedule coming up here pretty soon because pretty soon there'll be more and more going on. So stay tuned.
Excellent. All right. Anything more you guys would like to add? We're over time by quite a bit. We're coming up on 2 hours. Good discussion.
I'd say I think we covered some ground though. So
yeah, we did. Yeah, a lot of my bitching.
It's okay. This is a safe space.
Is it? Okay. You have no idea how that makes me feel. You know how sensitive I am.
Yes, exactly. So
all right. Well, if the listeners haven't already, check out the show at facebook.com/BS podcast. Leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. Send us an email at info@bspodcast.ca. Please, no nudies anymore. I'm tired of seeing those. It's like, I know. You guys want to, you want to show your stuff, but it's like, it's not necessary. I love you all, but it has its limits. I just want to send out a massive thank you to all of our sponsors again. Without you, we wouldn't have the show in the first place. We're talking about Shane and Steve with EM Precision Rifles, Miles Carey and Cappy with callsign 66, Duncan and Rob at Bolt Action Coffee, Phil Odell at Odell Engineering, Doug and Niza with March Scopes Canada, Vanya and Carly with Apex Optics, Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing, and J.R. Cox with The Shooting Edge. Thank you all very much. Thank you to all who attended tonight's show. Thank you to all who chimed in, tried to keep us on track. Good luck with that. But I think we did all right this show.
Or take us off track. That too.
Yeah.
Good.
It happens. It happens. All right. I'm going to get queued up for the outro. Any last words before I hit the button?
I'm going to say a huge shout out to the SAPRL crew for putting on an awesome match.
True.
Because I will come back to center fire matches because it was such an awesome match. It was so well
Excellent.
done. I had a great time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would
Great
do it again.
Great sponsors.
And are they having another one this year?
I believe there's another match on the May long weekend.
Is it the Dust Bowl? Is that what they're calling it? That one?
No. And they have another, there's a rimfire match, I believe, happening in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the rimfire match will be at the Medicine Hat Rifle and Revolver Club.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So, stay
SAPRL
tuned for those.
Okay. Do they have a website?
Or
just
I think
Facebook?
The best way is the Facebook page.
Right.
Yes.
SAPRL, Southern Alberta Precision Rifle League. Look them up and get on the list for upcoming matches. All right. Thanks, guys.
Well,
and thanks to everyone that showed up. We'll talk to you later.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS. Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.